Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Furbabies Summit. We are on day 3, and we're excited to kick off our morning with our first session with Kate McQuillan. Now, Kate is an amazing pet sitter and has an award-winning pet sitting company out of Ireland. So we are excited to have her here this morning to talk with us about how to pick the right pet sitter. Now, if you have fur babies at home, and we all do, we know that's one of those a massively important touch point for us and something that we take very, very seriously in trying to choose the right pet sitter to come into our homes and take care of our babies. So we're really excited to have Kate on with us to talk about that, what all goes into it, and how to be amazing at it. Kate, good morning. Thank you for being here with us.
Good morning, good afternoon, good morning. Well, I presume most of your audience is in America, so yeah, it's good morning for you guys. Like I said, I had a few tech issues, so there's no pretty slides, so we'll just have to chat through everything this morning.
That's okay. We love a good chat.
Okay, will I get started?
Yes.
Okay, so just to tell you a little bit about myself, as you said, I live here in Ireland. I have a pet sitting and dog walking business since 2010. I also help other people with their marketing, so other pet sitters. So I have another business, Pet Business Owners. So that's something I'm really passionate about, marketing. And we live out in the country with our 2 dogs, and we operate a business all around Ireland, and one that we've then gone on to franchise. We won Franchise of the Year award a couple of years ago before COVID. So yeah, it's been an exciting time with our business. And I suppose one of the things that we do is we spend a lot of time educating people about choosing the right pet sitter, because we're not naively thinking everybody's going to use our services. We might not be the right company for them, but we do want to let people know kind of the things that you should be asking and considering, because having a pet sitter is absolutely amazing. It's life-changing. It means you can go away whenever you want. You just have that flexibility. Your pets are being loved on 24/7. But if you get the wrong pet sitter, it can be a nightmare. So there are lots of things to consider, and this is kind of like a checklist, really, for you to kind of think of things when you're chatting to your potential pet sitter. It's not meant to scare you thinking, oh my gosh, all these things could go wrong. It really is just so that you can go away with peace of mind, knowing that you've got all your questions answered. So the first thing that I would suggest people do is kind of start looking at the business itself. So how long has somebody been in business? Pet sitters come and go all the time. People think they want to be a dog walker, they want to be a pet sitter, and then they're gone the next week. So you really want to look at sort of how long they've been in business and the credibility they have. Somebody who's, excuse me, somebody who's been around a long time obviously has a lot more experience. The other thing to look at is, who are you actually hiring? Is it a company that you're hiring that has staff that go out and do the visits? Is it a solo person you're hiring, which is fine too? Or is it someone that you're hiring via an app? Because there's going to be a very different experience from hiring a company who are like, we love our business, we love the pets, we love our customers, totally committed to it. Whereas somebody who perhaps is just doing it as a side gig through an app might not have that same level of commitment. So it's just something to be aware of as to who you're actually dealing with. What you don't want is to go on vacation and not have heard from your pet sitter and have no one to contact. Imagine the nightmare that you would feel if you can't get hold of your pet sitter. Whereas if you're dealing with a company, there's no chance that's ever going to happen, because the company reputation means so much to people, so that's important. There's a few other kind of legal things with companies, obviously making sure that they're a legitimate licensed business. So you can check that out. In the States, then you have bonding. So this is basically to protect your property. When someone comes into the house, God forbid anything went missing, that protects you. And then obviously business insurance. And there's a few different types of insurances that businesses can have. You can just have general liability insurance, which is just really protecting the company, or you can have specific pet care insurance, which would protect your pets and the pet sitters coming into your home. So there's just different types of insurance. Basically, you just want to make sure that you're not going to be liable if your dog does something out on a walk, that the company is properly insured. So there's some things to consider, and obviously insurance varies from country to country. So just look into the specifics of what cover you're getting. And obviously you'll have your own pet insurance and your own home insurance, so you're covered in that respect too. The other thing to look at then is just in terms of the person coming into the home, like you don't expect them to be a trained vet or anything necessarily, but you would expect them to have some pet care knowledge so that they're confident walking a dog. So if I've got two great big pointers, so they're big, strong dogs. I need to know that somebody can handle that dog, and they're not going to freak out and let go of the lead, and the dog's going to run off and it's just going to be a nightmare. So you need to just make sure that they're confident as well. That they're not scared of cats, that they know that if a cat doesn't want to come out from under the bed, you shouldn't be chasing it under there. You should just be letting it come to you. So just general pet experience. Like I say, it's not necessarily a qualification they need, but they do need some experience. The other thing is things like CPR. Are they trained in animal CPR? If you have a pet who is like maybe diabetic, we get a lot of cats that have diabetic injections. Are they going to be comfortable giving those insulin injections? So just little things like this. And this is going to vary depending on the needs of your pets. Mine don't really need any kind of specialist care. They just want love, cuddles, walks, treats. But if you have maybe a senior pet or a pet with medication needs, you want to make sure that the person understands that, this cat definitely needs its injections these particular hours apart, or they need their heart medication at a certain time, or this is how you give them things. So just to make sure that they know that. And that is your responsibility too, to make sure you give all this information. We always say to our customers, if you don't tell us, it's not our fault if we get it wrong, because you need to be responsible as well for all of those pet care instructions. And it's funny because the first time I had one of our pet sitters take care of our pets, the amount of things you write down, that you do that you just don't think of, you have, because like I would feed, one of our dogs before the other one. They have to have it on separate sides of the room. I don't leave treats down for them to fight over, things like this. So there's lots of little things that you probably don't think of. If someone comes to your home, where do they put the recycling for all those cans of dog food? Where do they get rid of the cat poop out the litter tray? So all of these things you want to make sure that your pet sitter is fully aware of. I suppose the next thing is the people then that work for them. So where are they getting their staff from? What is their hiring process? Do they do reference checks? Do they do background checks? What kind of staff have they got working for them? Because remember, these people are going to have access to your home and to the pet that you probably love more than anybody in the whole world. So you want to make sure that they're legit people and that the company are doing their due diligence. And I think this is where I suppose the company versus the app argument comes in. Apps don't really vet people to that extent, the way that a company would. So with a company, you know that they're going to have a background check, that they're going to check references, that they've never been in trouble for any kind of animal abuse, things like that you might not think of, but it's really, really important. The other thing is, are you going to get to meet this person? So it's very common in the industry to do a meet and greet before any services are delivered, so that you get a chance to sit down with the pet sitter and get to know them. They get to know your pets. You can see them interacting, so you can see, do they have a natural affinity with animals? Are they confident? They don't come to the door and see a great big dog and go, oh my God, no, I can't look after that. Or, I wouldn't be one for spiders and snakes, but if you have a pet sitter and you need somebody to look after spiders and snakes, you want to know that they're confident and they're not terrified to do it. So there's all these things, and the meet and greet is your opportunity to get to know that person and for them to get to know your pets, and that it's a good match. So that's really important. I think as well is to be clear on, how long is the pet sitter going to be there for? So different companies do different things. Some charge by time, some charge by number of pets, some say we'll stay as long as you need us. So you just need to be clear as to what is the story with, Are they going to be there 20 minutes, 30 minutes? Is there a dog walk included? What are the actual things that they're going to do while they're there? Because it's better to be clear from the start, this is what we need, and this is what you're going to provide. And a lot of companies would use software so that you can book lengths of visits and you can see exactly the breakdown, that I'm getting a visit in the morning, at lunchtime, in the evening, that kind of thing. Because your pets will all have different routines. A cat might be happy with just one visit, morning and evening, whereas our dogs would get 4 visits a day because they're very used to us being with them, and they need to stretch their legs, go for a pee, so they need that more. So that's important. The other thing is timing of visits then. So you would probably have quite a strict routine with your pets. You might not think you do, but you will have a routine. So you're up at whatever time, you go to work, you perhaps come home, or you have someone check on the dog in the day. They go for a walk at this time, they have their tea at another time. So what you want to do is make sure that your visits are scheduled to that routine, because this is the beauty of having a pet sitter, is that because they stay at home, you can totally match their regular routine. So you can have somebody come at 7 in the morning and let them out for their morning pee break, and you can have them make their breakfast. You can have someone come at lunchtime. You can have someone come in the evening. You can even have someone sleep over with them. We'll stay over with your dog so that they can cuddle up for the night, watch a good movie, snuggle in bed with you and hang out. So you can just tailor this whole visit to match whatever it is that you do with your dogs normally. I think it's important to add that, you're using a company or you're using an app, whatever you've decided to do, but do you know what their backup plan is? And I think a lot of people don't think about this is, if your pet sitter gets sick, what is the backup plan? So who's going to step in and know what to do? And this is where having these instructions online in the system showing exactly what needs to be done is so important, because if I'm scheduled to come look after your pet and I get sick, you want to know that there's going to be somebody else to do it. Like I was saying before, you don't want to be stuck on vacation and your pet sitter says, oh no, I got COVID, I can't come. These are things that people don't think about. They think, oh no, I'll be fine. But you just never know. Anything could happen. So making sure that they've got a backup plan, and not just, oh, my husband will come do it or my friend will do it. It needs to be somebody who's, insured, trained, properly within the business, that can come along and can just step in and take care of your pets to make sure, there's no break in services. And also, how are they going to notify you of the visits being done? So we briefly talked about this a minute ago with, if you're on vacation and you can't get hold of your pet sitter, what a nightmare that would be. You don't want to be worrying every time, have they been today? Have they been this lunchtime? Have they been this evening? You want to know, right, I'm getting a message or a text or photos, whatever it is, through to me after every visit, so I know job's done and my pets are safe. So we use a software system, and when the visit's complete, you get this lovely little journal that tells you all about your pets and the lovely day they had, and loads of photos. And I'm telling you now, it's the best thing about your pets that are coming, is you get all these photos and they're so happy and, just having great fun. It's funny because customers that we have that have children, the kids are so excited to see those come through because they want to see their pets happy as well. So it's kind of nice. I suppose the more boring side of things with this is like policies and things. Just in terms of what are their payment terms, you want to find that out just so you know, are you paying up front? What's their cancellation policy? This has become so important across all industries now with COVID, is like, what is the cancellation policy? What if you get COVID and can't go? What if something else happens and you have to cancel? How much are you obliged to pay of the visit prices? Do you pay all of it? Do you pay half of it? Do you get credit? What way does it work? Because, if you're booking a long trip away, it could be quite expensive pet sitting service for a long time. So you just want to know where you stand with that. And also, if it's a refund, is that a refund back to your credit card, or is that just a refund for credit for future use? So just so everybody knows where they stand in terms of that. It's not something, I suppose, that's been such a big deal before. But we found people get very confused over what is the restrictions around that. So the other thing then is your keys. And this is probably one you haven't thought of. When your pet sitter takes your keys, how do they store those keys? And how do they keep them identified as your keys? Because what you don't want is someone to get your key and then write, Kate McQuillan, number 1, the street, Island. And then they lose that key. And there you have, somebody picks it up and they know exactly where you live. The other thing is, do they keep duplicate keys? Because what if, and things do happen, drop it down a drain, falls out your pocket in the park, these things can happen. So number 1 is that the key isn't identifiable. So, do they use like a numeric system to just track it or some way of doing that? And number 2, that there is a backup key somewhere, whether that's with the company or whether they've left it with an emergency contact, because things do happen and it's better to be prepared with that. So they're the kind of boring bits. The other thing is to look at like reputation. So online reputation is really important. Other customers are the best at telling you whether a company is good or not. So looking into that and looking social media, looking to see what reviews they have, what people are saying on social media. Are they active? Are they actively updating their social media? Are they actively providing information for you? So that's really important. Have they won any awards? I think that's nice for people to see that they're award winning or they've won some kind of accreditation. There's quite a few different awards that go on across all of America, different kind of neighborhood awards for different businesses and stuff. So there's plenty of opportunity for them to get those types of things. Google My Business reviews, you can go on and read those. Yelp reviews, that's another one. Facebook have reviews. So there's plenty of opportunity for you to find out what other people are saying about their business. Because obviously as a business owner, you think you're great, but your potential customers will always kind of tell the truth. So that's a good one to look at. And just to make sure that, things are updated on their website and stuff, there's, updated information, contact details, this kind of stuff. The same as you would do if you were buying anything, really. You would look at the legitimacy of the business and look at how well known they were and how accredited they were. They're the most questions, we've gone through this quite quickly, but they are the main questions that I would be asking in terms of if I was hiring a pet sitter, so that you can really get comfortable knowing who they are. And suppose the thing not to do, I suppose on the flip side of this then, is not to rush the process. We have people that ring up and say, I'm going away, at the weekend. So maybe they ring on a Friday afternoon saying, oh, can you come and look after my pets? And if they're an existing customer, that's perfectly fine. But if we don't know them, that's all very rushed. It's rushed to get someone out there to meet with them. It's rushed to get to know their pets, for them to feel comfortable and confident with us. So, I would say to people, really book in advance. If you're thinking of going away, you should be looking a month ahead, and finding the right company for you, finding the right care assistant, and making sure you have an opportunity to get to know them. So that's super, super important. When you're booking late, you're just rushing things, and are you really doing all of your checks correctly? And then people will say, oh, can you come and walk my dog? And, oh, you don't need to meet them, but you do. Don't book a pet sitter without meeting them first. That meet and greet is so, so, so important, because you don't want your pets getting freaked out by somebody just walking into your home that they don't know. So that's really important. Excuse me. Yes, so give yourself plenty of time. Don't rush the process. Have your meet and greet, and then make sure that the information that you're giving them isn't just stored in their head. I talked about this earlier about, what you normally do with your pets and your schedule. So make sure that they're recording this information somewhere. So don't just, accept that they're going to remember everything, because that would be impossible. Make sure that you've got a booking system where you can see all this information online and you can check that what they have is actually correct. Because the beauty with an online booking system is you can actually go in and you can see all of your scheduled visits. You can see all the instructions that you've given them. And this is your opportunity to be confident that, you know, everything is right and you've got all of the information, or they've got all of the information that they need. So, and that's all part of not rushing it as well, and making sure that you've got the right person. That's really sort of the process that we go through with people to make sure that they kind of understand where we are, who we are, what we do. And if they're not right for us and they go somewhere else, that they ask all these same questions to make sure that, you know, they're getting the pet sitter that's best for their pets. So I don't know if you guys have any questions for me.
We definitely have some questions. I have something that I wanted to add to that. You went through a wonderful list, and I am so glad that you did, because I've seen a lot of people, they book very last minute because they just don't know. They really don't know all the things that could happen. And people are want to say, oh, it'll never happen to my pet. It'll never happen to my house. There will never be a leak. There'll never be a fire. There'll never be, you know, you open the door and your cat runs out because they pick that day to be adventurous. But they also don't really think about, you know, when you leave, especially for the ones that have medical issues already, something could change in their condition and they may need vet care. So I can tell you in past experience with my pet sitters, I would also put in a call to my vet's office and tell, because I trust my vet's office, and I would tell them, hey, I'm going to be out of town, or I've got a new pet sitter. This is their name. This is their information. This is their company that they work with. This is their information. So if I'm out and they call you because I'm completely out of pocket or something has happened and they need to get one of my littles in, this is their information and they're known to me. So please, you know, give them an appointment, and I'll leave some kind of a payment option on file so that they have that, so it doesn't disrupt continuity of care. And I've had animals with kidney disease, with cancer, with all kinds of things. And so it just became a thing over experience to go, you know what, this is something that I've not really seen a lot of people ask about. And so going through that list, like you said, and setting out and going through and making, you know, kind of go through your day as a pet owner, go through your day and go, this is what I do. This is our routine. It's almost like writing an instruction manual, like this is what I feed. This is when I feed it. This is what I give. And you put all that out. And it's so important. And most pet sitters I know are like, look, we appreciate the list and we appreciate knowing who is who, because we're not their only client. I mean, y'all have multiple clients sometimes in a day, and everybody loves the animals, but we're human. We can forget, you know, or we can go, wait, was it Daisy who had this? Or was it Pinky who had this, you know? So yeah, I love that you went through that.
One of the things that's good with that, I keep going back to the online booking system, because what that does is you can create profiles for each of the pets. Yes. So you upload a photo and you can put the specific instructions for that pet with their photo. So that's really good. And you made a good point about the vets as well. And I think this comes back to people being familiar with animals, to know to look for signs of them being different, behaving different, you know, so that they notice maybe if your dog's feeling a little bit off or their mood has changed. So it's not just about running in and throwing a bowl of food down. You know, you really are looking for, well, you know, the dog wasn't like that yesterday. They don't seem their normal self. Is there something wrong? You know, and knowing those signs and doing something about it as well. You know, getting in touch with the vet or the owner or whatever it is, and to always kind of err on the side of caution. I would much rather pay for a vet's visit that they don't need than for them to just not notice and leave them there sick, you know? It's very true.
That, and to the point of what you said of pet sitters leaving or sending photos, we've had some send photos and videos, and it's such a, number one, it's exciting and it puts your mind at ease, because I know when I travel and I get up, I look forward to that more than anything. It doesn't matter where I am. I'm like, okay, they're fine. I can go about my day for the next 12 hours. Okay, great. But if you see the videos of them and you see the pictures, then also as the pet parent, you can go, oh, you know, she looks a little different today. Something's off. And then your pet sitter, if they're it's kind of like going to your groomer. If your pet sitter is consistent in their life for several months, they get to know your pet too. And they can say, yeah, I saw her last week and she was bouncing around and happy and, doing all these things. And then today she doesn't really want to get off the couch. It's probably fine, but something's kind of off. So it's that relationship. So when you say don't wait, that's key.
It is. And, you get so fond of these pets, you get to know them over the years. I mean, some of the customers we've had since they've had the puppies, like 10-week-old puppy, and now the dogs are like 13 years old. And it's, you get attached to them, they're part of your family. And, it's nice to see them grow up, and you see their changes as well. So you start to know if there's anything not right about them, or if they're not feeling well, or anything really. And sometimes I think a pet sitter will notice more because they're not there all the time. So they pick up on things, that you might just not notice because you're with them every day. So, a pet sitter can be useful in lots of different ways. And what kind of pets do you have?
I have cats right now. We have had dogs. We lost our dog a couple of years ago, but we have cats, and we're going to adopt another dog. But it was sort of my trial by fire experience into different pet sitters. And like you said, you can get attached to one and they move, or they have to, they go back to school or something to that effect. So you have to start over. So I learned to start ahead of time and, find a backup, find somebody else that you like as well. So you've got, an extra option. And just like you said with the keys, I'm nodding just emphatically yes with the keys, because you can set the key on the counter and walk out the door and the door can lock behind you, and it just can happen. So have a backup key at your house or with a neighbor or somewhere, an emergency contact, like you said, where they can get a hold of it. So with all that list, do you have any pet peeves about pet owners, things they go into overkill on, or things that they don't do that you wish they did?
All about customers. Nothing is too much for them. I don't think so. Any pet peeves as such, giving us notice is just so important, because, we want to be able to serve all our customers when they need us. But people have holidays or vacations, pet sitters want time off. So giving us plenty of notice is key. And all of the right instructions and making sure everything's there. I think that's one of the big things. There's enough food, enough litter. To be honest, people who use a pet sitter and pay for that service really love their pets. So we tend to find that, they make sure everything is perfect, almost, overkill. Everything would be there for you, post-it notes on everything. So, you're getting people that really are very organized usually. But yeah, plenty of notice, especially at the moment, because the job market is very hard hiring people. So a lot of pet sitters all across America are struggling with having enough staff. So it really does give them time to be able to get things in place to make sure that they can cover. I don't think people realize how big the holidays get, the really busy time of year. Everybody wants a pet sitter. So you do need to book in advance and make sure that you've got your spot. And I think that's what's good with a company. It's not just one person. You've got plenty of people that can cover, and a lot of companies will train 2 people on the job so that, they can either share the job if it's a long-term job, or just as backup. So just little things like that, making sure, like, you don't have to look for a new pet sitter. You can just have a different one from within the company. Yeah. But that's good. But you have cats there, so pet sitting is perfect for cats. It really is. Cats hate going in cars. Like, I know any cat that we've had has hated it. They think they're going to the vet. They just automatically think they're going to the vet. So they're like, no, hell no, I'm not getting in that box. So it's just perfect for them to stay at home. They really do love it. And one of the things I didn't mention actually was home security. Because when you're using a pet sitter, you're getting that element of home security as well, that lights are being turned on and off, like we'll close curtains, open blinds, just to make the home look lived in. And it's probably not something people think about, but that in itself is huge. People don't want their house looking like it's empty for 2 weeks when they've gone off on their lovely vacation. So in fact, we actually service some customers just with that. You know, they just have home check. Maybe they've been customers in the past and they had pets, they don't have pets at the moment. But when they go away, they're like, I think we'd still like to just come and turn lights on and off just to make it look lived in. So that's something that you can avail of too. Because there is that fear when you leave your home empty that, you know, something could happen.
That's a brilliant transition too, because they already know the setup and your home and everything. We have a question. So we have a lot of different pet experts on here, and you had mentioned that you help pet companies market. What are some of the tools that you like to use or you'd like to share to help your audience expand that message or to grow it?
So social media is obviously a great way to get your message out to potential customers. Sharing lots of pictures of the pets that you're caring for. You know, I think we're so blessed as a pet business that we have all these great visuals that we can use. We have, who doesn't love cats and dogs? You know, it's such a great business to be in. So that would be one of our things, is really to build our social media. We have a huge Facebook and Instagram following, where we would share kind of fun stuff. We would share a lot of tips on pet care. The other thing that's been huge for us is our blog. We have a massive blog. I think we have about 900 blog posts on there at the moment, all about pet care. So answering people's pet care questions about what we do and how we do it, and also educating them on things, you know, about why their pet does this or why they don't do that, you know, little training tips, things like that. We've done a lot around baking for your pets, so baking birthday cakes, things like that. So kind of fun and educational stuff on the blog. We do a lot of that. And just really good customer service. They're the things. We built an audience, we educated them, and then we just look after them. You know, we really look after them and make sure that, you know, they're getting the service that they want. That's myself and my husband, Mike. We run the business together, and that's Coco on the right and Joey on the left. So they're my two dogs. So yeah, we also do a wedding service. So that's
I was going to ask you about that.
This is just such a privilege to do this. So basically, if you want to have your dog at your wedding, we can do a few different things. So we can just bring them along for photos, so they can just be there for the photos at the end, or we can arrange for them to be actually in the service, so be a ring bearer, and they would go down the aisle with the ring. Now, it really depends on your own dog and how well behaved they are. My dogs would be terrible because they're so bold. But if you've got a dog that you think you can train to walk down the aisle, then this is amazing. And the photos are just unbelievable. You know, people really love their pets and they love them. I mean, we have big dogs in weddings. That's a boxer, I think it is. And we've done Great Danes, and all in little suits and things, so cute. This is something you want to book in advance, so definitely, so that you have time to get to know the company and what services they offer and how they're going to do it. So we do things like we'd arrive with the dogs early and take them through the church just to get them familiar with it. You know, it's too much for them to just arrive there and expect them to be calm. You want to get them there an hour early, walk them, just take them wherever they're going to be so they know the environment, and then just be with them the whole day, really, until the photos are done. And then usually they'd go to one of our host families for kind of like an overnight stay while their parents party the night away. So yeah, there's a lovely service. It really is. And it's such a privilege. People want you to bring their dogs along. It really is nice. So yeah, probably one of our favorite services.
I would say, I think that's one of my favorite pieces too. I love that. I love that.
And it takes the stress away, because people want their dog at their wedding, but they think, oh gosh, what will I do with it? Who's going to look after it? Who's going to mind the dog while everyone's, you know, in the service? What if the dog's jumping on people? Just having somebody there just takes that stress away from you, because the sitter will just completely mind the dog for the whole duration, and bring them to wherever they need to be, take them away again. So it's all very measured service. It's all very organized. So there's no dogs running around and jumping on guests or the bride. Gosh. So yeah, it's good. And people really get into it. You know, they'd have little kind of top hats for their dog, little dicky bows. Like, it's so cute.
So
I've
in
never
that,
done a cat one.
in the vein of what you were speaking about earlier, as far as scheduling and planning in advance, two things, because you touched on the holidays, and that is a big one. People tend to forget and wait last minute. And I know pet sitting companies here in the States that they book, for example, if you know or you think you're going to be traveling on Christmas, you need to call them in September, October, because they will start to book up, and they can only service so many homes and clients in a day's time. So for that and for weddings, what would be your recommendation to pet owners? Like, kind of bear this in mind. This is when you should think about booking.
Well, you can think about a wedding. People book that 2 years in advance, don't they? So, when you're booking your venue, excuse me, when you're booking your venue and you're booking your wedding singer, just book your pet sitter as well. It makes sense. Why
It
would you
does.
leave that to the last minute, because it's, you've got to book your groomer in around that. So you want to make sure that you've got that. And there's other things as well. If you want your dog to go to, a lot of people want them to go to a host family. So they'd go and stay in one of our pet sitters' homes with them. So that we don't have like open availability, like endless availability for that. That is limited. So you'd want to book that in advance. So yeah, just get it all booked in. That's the sooner the better is my advice, so that you've got peace of mind. It's just done then, isn't it? You don't need to worry about it.
Mhm. I think that's a very key takeaway for people.
It is. It is.
We do have a question. Do you have for those people who would like to start doing pet sitting, or who would like to start a pet sitting business but are just starting out, what would your advice be to them if they're just starting, and how to get the ball rolling and to get going with it?
Yeah, I would get yourself a good website. Definitely get yourself an online presence. Just having social media really isn't enough these days. If you want to come across as a legitimate business, you want to have that website. And I would also sit down and take a bit of time to think about how you actually want to run your business. I think people kind of rush into it and want to be everything to everybody, so they think, oh, I'll just be super flexible and I'll come, whenever people want me to. And whereas really you need to have quite strict procedures and policies. So for example, we don't promise that we'll be there at 10 o'clock exactly, because that's just setting yourself up to disappoint people, because traffic, previous visit could run over. There's a whole host of things. So we work in time windows. But I think a lot of people think, oh no, it'll be really good if I agree to everything people want. Whereas, yes, you want to look after your customers, but you need to have these boundaries in place so that you can make sure that they're happy, rather than setting yourself up for failure. The other thing is, don't go with the cheapest price. I think a lot of new companies tend to think, well, if I undercut every other pet sitter in the area, then I'll get more business. Well, that's a pretty sure way to fail. I would look at what you need to earn and set your prices accordingly, with a view to maybe if you want to hire people in the future, it's okay charging a really low amount, but you may need help, and then obviously you need to pay that help. Make sure you get proper insurances. That's huge. I know it's an expense and it's a pain. Everybody hates paying insurance and stuff, but it's so important for a new business owner. And then the other thing is, and this might sound strange, is to get a good brand and logo right from the beginning so that you look very professional. It doesn't cost much, but I think it's well worth the investment. Trying to do something yourself on Canva or whatever is never going to look great. And you could spend a few $100s and just get something that makes you look really professional. So yeah, they would be my kind of top tips. Definitely set out as you mean to go on, and put some thought into it, because you don't want to be running all over the place and barely making any money. If you're going to do this as a job, you need to set it up so that you can make a living from it. And there's lots of different free Facebook groups out there that you can join, where there's lots of other pet sitters and stuff in there as well.
Those are wonderful, wonderful tips. Thank you.
It
So
is,
can we?
it is a fun business. It is. It's very enjoyable, but I do see a lot of people sort of run themselves ragged, trying to care for everybody and meet everybody's needs. Whereas really with a little bit of planning and setup, you can still help people, but you can just have those good boundaries in place so that, you know, everybody gets what they want.
And it's okay to set time boundaries too for everybody who's listening out there. You know, your pet sitters they don't have to run all day long. You don't want them running ragged, like you said.
Yeah, and you can't promise to be there at a certain time because you just don't know. You know, you can be there or thereabouts, but you know, if you say I'm going to be there dead on 10 o'clock, the chances are every day the customer's going to be disappointed because you're rarely going to get there. You know, you just don't know what's going to happen.
So that's something else that I'm glad that you touched on, because with you guys, you set a window of time, a period of time, and most of the experiences I've had with pet sitters here, they've done the same thing. So it might be from 7 to 10 or 8 to 11, and then or some even there's been like a 5 to 8 window, you know, and then they'll do something like 11 to 2, or then they'll do the late evenings, because some pet owners, they'll do 12 hours apart. So I've seen a lot of different schedules, but most of them function off of a window, and it helps train the pet owners too. It helps train us too, because we can sit back and go, okay, we have this routine with our pets. We can sort of plan ahead and try to shift that forward or backwards a little bit if we need to, and make it less stressful for our fur babies.
No,
so,
obviously, if you've got a pet who needs medication, we can be a little bit more rigid with those. That's different. And dogs as well, just making sure that they're not left too long. So, you know, if you came early in the window today, in the evening, you don't go late the next morning in the window, you know, just so that you're mindful of those kind of things. But yeah, the windows are great, so that, you know, no one's disappointed.
So can we ask, what are your goals coming up? What are the goals coming up for you guys in the next year or long term?
We're really pushing our wedding service at the moment because we absolutely love that. Obviously, with COVID, we didn't really do much the last 2 years on our franchises in terms of bringing more franchisees on board. And some franchises left because, you know, just financially they couldn't make it through the 2 years. So that is a big push for us this year, the wedding service, and really getting back up and running again with franchises, because, you know, it's nice to help other people start their own businesses here in Ireland.
How many would you say, if you could put a number on it, have y'all been able to help get started over the course of it?
We had 9 franchises here in Ireland. And a couple of those had multiple franchises. So that's been fantastic, you know. But obviously we want to get back up to that again probably this year, really. Ireland we only have 5 million people here in Ireland, so it's not that huge compared to the States. You guys are much bigger. So but yeah, people love their pets, and it's a very popular service now. I mean, when we started back in 2010, no one had even heard of pet sitting. It was just didn't even really exist here. So it's been fun watching the whole industry grow, and obviously us growing along with it. And having franchises in our business does really help that growth. So that's been nice too. And you get to hang out with pets.
You do get to hang out with pets. Is there really anything better than hanging out with animals all day long? No, I don't think so.
What's great about this business is that once you've done the meet and greet and you've met with the owners and it's all set up, really you don't speak to that many humans then, you know, as a pet sitter, you're hanging out with the pets. And I suppose as a business owner, you do deal with more customers and things like that. But just when you're doing the pet sitting, you really are just hanging out with pets. And the thing about them is they're so pleased to see you. They're always pleased to see you. You never really get a pet that doesn't want to hang out with you. Sometimes cats.
Sometimes they go under the bed. I remember one of our pet sitters was so thrilled when finally she got one of our shyest. She finally came out from under the bed, and she presented herself for pets. And so my pet sitter was thrilled with that. She was, oh my God, she came out from under the bed and she let me pet her. I'm like, yes, thank you. That's awesome. You knew it would happen.
Yeah, it is like that, because you don't want to stress them out and try to force them to interact. But you do kind of feel like privileged that they've chosen you. So yeah, it's kind of nice.
It's an honor.
It is, definitely.
Well, Kate, thank you so much for coming on with us today. This has been a wonderful session and a lot of education for pet parents out there. So if you're catching this on the replay, like she said, go through your day, make a list, jot down the things that you do, the kind of instructions, your photos, your backup plans, do your meet and greets. They're very important. Plan ahead and have a little flexibility in that too. So
And enjoy your vacation. That's
yes,
important.
enjoy your vacation. That would be important, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we want people to have fun and let us take care of the pets and worry about them while they're away.
Well, I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon and into your evening. And we've got your website up in the chat box so people can go and check that out and check out the wedding services too. So thank you very, very much. We appreciate you.
Take care. Bye.
You too. Bye. Okay.
Good stuff.
Are we? Hi, Arlene.
Hi, Steph. How are you?
Good. How are you? Good morning.
I'm good. And now that I got on this, because my computer did a little jiggle on me this morning, and I thought, oh my God, I'm not going to make this. Anyways, I'm working on Ron's computer.
Oh, flexibility. That works.
So we're back to back here. So it's okay. It's okay. This might be set up differently with what you're doing, because I have done Zoom on the other. I don't know, but you know what? I didn't want to play with it. That's why you saw the name come up early, because I figured I've got to see what's going on this one. But we're good. We're all good. My genius set it up for me. I'm good.
Thank you. I think you're totally fine. Totally fine.
You don't need me anymore?
No, I don't need you. Thank you. I was listening to Kate, about, how not all your animals always want to come in. And Missy was in here, and I thought, oh, the diva might pay us the honor here, but I'm not sure. I heard you were talking about her yesterday with Cindy. Yeah, she's funny, this cat. She truly is.
She was so excited to be on, and she did such a great job.
I'm so glad.
And she started talking about Wink. She said, Mrs. Klein is going to talk about Wink tomorrow. And I was like, yes, she is. I know.
Really
that's
made me feel
old. Well, and I stopped for a second. I was like, Arlene? Yes. What's wrong?
Hi, Scott.
Oh, he is my chief button pusher and chief bottle washer.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah,
at
morning, Arlene. Morning, Ron.
How are you? At 82 and a half years old, some of this stuff, I mean, I'm okay with it, but you guys are so ahead. This world is so ahead that I'm looking at notes here, because 32 years ago, I did a video. There was no podcast. There was none of this. There was nothing like this. So this will be interesting, because I was just saying to Ron, a lot of these people are very, are we on? Are we on yet?
Scott, are we on?
Not yet. We're recording.
Oh, we're on.
But we're live. So it's just us. It's just us for right now.
But I saw, these people that were on, they were so focused, because you've got groomers, and you've got trainers, and you've got hospice people, veterinarians, and the joy of having a fur baby. I'm all over the place here. So I figured I really have to collect me a little bit. So I've got notes in front of me. So if you see me look down, that's what I'm doing.
I do the same thing, because I reset between each one. And so I've got notes on the side. I try to have the site pulled up, or Scott will pull something up for me so he can show everybody on his screen. But yeah, you're not alone in that. Not at all. You're okay. I know. You're
for
okay.
all the years on the Morris board, and Betty, may she rest in peace. Where did we just go? Okay.
I just pulled the slide.
So then, while we have a minute, so in the joy of having a fur baby, what would you like to talk about?
Well, the joy of having a fur baby, it's such a vast such a couple words, but it's so big. It's
Mhm.
it's so like almost overwhelming, and it's been my life. And really, to quote the famous French poet Anatole France, to until one has loved an animal, a part of one's soul remains unawakened. So I have lived by that, and it's, how do you explain to somebody what a passion is? It's just something in you. It's in you. And listen, I'm a mom. I'm a wife of almost 63 years. I'm a grandmother of grown, beautiful, they're not kids anymore, in their 20s, and wonderful grandchildren. So, it's a vast life. However, the animals that have been in my life have been my life, because they have taken me to every place and everything that I've done.
Arlene,
Yes.
this is good stuff. Let's hit the record button because I think this would be awesome on here, what you're sharing right now.
I do too. I do too.
Well,
Do you?
it's, I've been the voice for those that can't speak for themselves. And as long as I have breath in my body, I will continue to do that. And when I sat for so many years on the Morris Animal Foundation board, it was such a wonderful fit, because I worked for health for all animals. And what could be better than that? And it was very hard for me. I did sit on other boards where these were shelters. And I said, I'm not a good fit for you. I'll
Mhm.
raise money. I'll do all these things, and I will work hard, and I will finish the job that I start. However, I will never walk into the kennels with those animals, because I can't.
Sure.
My heart's out to all of you that work close with these rescue. Cindy is amazing.
She is amazing.
Oh, she's amazing. She's got a heart as big as her body. And she was so excited, by the way. Thank you so much for having her on, because she sent me a text, and I was busy with my grandsons and my son yesterday. All day they were here. So I was knee deep into family stuff, and it was a great day. But when she texted me, it was quite late when I found that. She said, I was on today. I was a speaker, and I hope I did okay. So of course I called her, and I will listen to that later. I'll get into that, and I'll listen to hers. I said, I'm sure you did fine, because if you speak from the heart, how can you go wrong? Who's going to argue with you? So to substantiate, what is the joy of having a fur baby? I
Well,
felt
do we want to go ahead and get
Yeah.
started